Welcome to Breaking Vinyl. I'm your host, Ez, aka Johnny Fever. And as always, I'm joined by my two co hosts. First up, the podcaster coming through in high fidelity, Evil Ed. What's up, Ed? Back from vacation.
I am back from vacation. It was a wonderful time off. Hello, everyone.
And you did see Metallica twice while away, correct?
I did. And
Oh,
do I
nice.
have stories about all those bands? Because the opening bands were phenomenal. In fact,
Who opened?
the first night was Mammoth, Wolfie
Mm-hmm.
Van Halen's band, and they were fantastic. And then Pantera, they
Nice,
were
nice.
great. They had Charlie Benatti from Anthrax playing drums for Vinnie Paul,
Oh,
and
cool.
Zach Wild was doing Dimebag's parts.
Oh,
Which was
Nice.
wow.
great.
Okay.
Yeah. Metallica, not so great the first night.
Okay.
Uh,
They're old and
the
rich.
second night, Ice Nine Kills opened, and I am instantly a fan of that band. First off, they're local. I think they're from like Salem or something, but they are phenomenal.
Wow.
Really big fan of those guys now. Then Five Finger Death Punch never disappoints. And
Nice.
Metallica definitely played better the second night, but the openers were. This is the first show that I've ever been to that I was like, the openers fucking killed it.
Yeah. Wow. Awesome. That sounds like
Yeah,
a great vacation.
yeah, yeah.
And you did spend a week in Betty Ford, right? Is that correct?
Yes, that is exactly what happened after.
Okay.
And those of you who are
Uh,
friends with me on Facebook saw that we had a little run in with the police and the mayor that turned out to be a wonderful experience.
oh shit. All right. That's a story for another time. And also joining the podcast, last but not least, the podcaster playing the deep cuts. B-side Dave. What's up, Dave?
What's up, everybody?
All right. Tonight we will be discussing David Lee Roth's Eat Them and Eat and Smile, produced by Ted Templeton, released on July 7th, 1986 on Warner Brothers Records. The album peaked at number 4 on the Billboard 200. The band's lineup was as follows: on lead vocals, Diamond David Lee Roth; on guitars, Steve Vai; on bass, Billy Sheehan; and on drums, Greg Bissonette; and on keyboards where necessary, Jeff Bova. Okay, so for band facts, I have just got one. I couldn't find a ton on this album, but in 1986, Kerrang! Magazine, which any of you old metalheads remember, did name this album of the year for 1986. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Dave, what'd you have for thoughts on this one or facts?
Uh, I'll go last because I have a ton of them.
Yeah,
Oh,
me too.
okay. All
Me too.
right.
I have a
Oh,
ton
all
of them
right.
as well.
I
Okay.
don't want to hog them all up.
Okay, Ed, what do you
You know
got?
what?
Don't hog them up.
Let's go one and one, Dave.
All right.
Oh, there
All
you
right,
go.
I'll go
Yeah, go.
first.
Go. 1 and 1.
I'll go first. All right. The phrase "eat 'em and smile" was part of a trademark in the late 1920s for a company in South Dakota.
Oh, good one. And Dave, what do you rebut that with?
All right. Steve Stevens was originally considered for the guitar job, but could not participate due to his commitments with the Billy Idol band.
Oh, I so wish it had been him. I have problems with the stylistic choices from Steve Vai on this album.
Nope.
It sounds like it's a
Nope.
gimmick, dude. It's gimmick
No,
playing. But
here's
You're
why,
wrong.
and I will finish up his Dave's statement. After Steve Stevens couldn't work out, Dave went to Billy Sheehan on saying, "Hey, you know anyone?" And he goes, "Yeah, I got this guy Steve Vai who plays in Alcatraz right now, and he's probably more your vibe because he's from Zappa." And he has that kind of sense of humor, and he's not, he's more the David Lee Roth types, over the topness. So
right.
he thought he would
Uh
be a better fit because of the goofiness that Dave is and the
yeah.
weirdness.
I think in David Lee Roth's in his rush to get a guitar player that could outshine Eddie Van Halen, he got a guy that technically, could outplay Eddie Van Halen with some of these shredder runs and licks that he brought to this album. But he just stylistically, I mean, we're gonna get into it, but it's just doesn't fit. This is a rock and roll album, and he is just like he is fucking on that whammy bar like a 12-year-old kid, you know, touching his whammy bar. It never stops for a second. It's over fucking processed. The 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 licks are just wrong for the songs. When we're getting songs like Tobacco Road, and he's playing fucking like it's a problem. It's a
We'll
fucking
get into
problem.
all of that.
It's a
Oh my
problem.
god.
It's a problem. Ed, if you could just turn down your mic just a little bit more, that'd be
Yeah.
awesome. Just a little bit. Dave, next fact. Let's keep it rolling.
All right. David Lee Roth was originally making a movie called Crazy from the Heat with this music slated to be the soundtrack. The movie deal fell through, but Dave pivoted. They decided to just make an album and launch a tour.
Interesting. Ed?
Yeah, in early '85, during the initial production meetings for that movie, Dave reached out. Billy Sheehan got a call from Dave's team, and asked to be in the movie in part of the band for the movie. He said yes, and said it would work out because Tallis had a show in L.A. at the time that he needed to be there, so he showed up a little early. By sheer coincidence, Tallis opened for or played gigs with Van Halen in 1980, and Billy was friends with Eddie Van Halen. So he was calling Eddie
Interesting.
Van Halen and said, "Hey, you want to come to the Tallis gig on this day?" And Eddie's like, "Nah, I can't. I got something busy." And then as he was about to get off the phone, he goes, "Oh, by the way, Dave called me." And all of a
Oh
sudden, Eddie
shit.
goes, "Wait, what?" And he was like, what did he call you about? And he said, yeah, something about a movie and a band. And basically it was Eddie goes, please let me know how that conversation goes when you have them face to face, because I have a feeling he's going to be pulling an Ozzy, where
Oh
Ozzy
shit.
left
Yeah,
Black Sabbath and started his own thing without telling the band.
that's
Um,
crazy.
yeah.
Dave?
All right. Sonrisa Salvaje
Yes.
translates as Wild Smile, is the
Nice.
Spanish language version of Eat 'em and Smile. David Lee Roth recut all the vocals with the help of a Spanish tutor in the studio as an effort to try to, I suppose, expand their sales. And all the music is the same, just different vocals, all in Spanish.
Oh wow. So I couldn't find anything, and you guys both wrote a novel. So
Yeah.
I'm feeling like I was underprepared for this facts wise. I actually just recorded the movie podcast literally 7 minutes ago, so I've been super busy. Ed, go ahead, keep it rolling. This is a very, very interesting.
So again, to bounce off Dave's Spanish language album, I remember in the early '80s, I was watching Headbangers Ball on MTV one night,
Nice,
and
nice.
all of a sudden I hear "Going Crazy" come on, and I'm like, "Oh, I love this song!" And then all of a sudden I'm like, "Why is the video different?" And it was the Spanish language version, and the video is so good. Because
Oh
it's a
shit.
live concert footage of them singing, of David Lee Roth singing "Going Crazy" in Spanish. So it's like Puerto Loco, Puerto Loco. Oh, it's so good.
Fucking crazy. Now, is
Oh,
that
I never saw
actually
that.
going? Are you actually saying "going crazy" in Spanish there, Ed?
Yes, yes, yeah,
Oh,
Puerto
nicely
Loco. Yeah.
done. Nicely done. So funny story about the Headbangers Ball. I remember one night me and I won't, you know what, I won't name names, but let's just say we talked about him before the show, Ed. So me, him, and a friend of mine from Woburn, we decided we were gonna drink some like I don't know some Snapster or something retarded like that, and take Vibrant, okay, and watch the Headbangers Ball. So we had taken all this Vibrant, and we had all decided that we were like our hearts are beating too fast. And I remember calling the emergency room, being like, "We took a bunch of Vibrant and drank the Snapster. Are we gonna die?" And she's like, "Guys, fucking take it easy, you know." And but we all lived. So Dave,
Nice,
what else you
nice.
got?
All right, I got one last one here.
Okay.
In 2015, uh, everybody in the band, David Lee Roth, Steve Vai, Billy Sheehan, Greg Bissonette, and keyboardist Brett Tuggle, uh, They were about to get on stage at a jam night, Lucky Strike Live, I suppose in Hollywood, November 2015, seconds before they were supposed to go on stage and have a reunion and play some of their music. The fire marshal shut it down
Oh,
because
really?
the club was just double packed with people and they got shut down and they couldn't play.
No shit.
Sadly.
Wow.
That would have
That's
been a
crazy.
phenomenal show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. And Ed, do you have anything else, or are we ready to
I
move
do. I
on?
actually also have one more.
Oh,
So this is
perfect.
it's unbelievable. So when Steve Vai showed up to audition, he brought his drummer Chris Frazier with him from Alcatraz. They played in they supposedly everything clicked right away. They want to getting out about 15 tune ideas where they were all happy. Um, Vi obviously got the job, and then for some unknown reason, David Lee Roth put out an unofficial ad to audition drummers, and Greg Bissonette showed up. He's from Detroit. He showed up and he said there were about 400 drummers in line to audition.
Wow.
So he was looking for people that he knew that were leaving the audition, and lo and behold, Matt Sorum is leaving the audition.
No
And he
shit.
goes, hey, what's up? What's it like? What do I need to know? And he's like, oh, they want double bass, and I'm not a big double bass guy. They did something about Hot for Teacher, and I just didn't really have it down. So basically, Greg Bissonette started warming up his feet for this. During the audition, Steve Vai was playing a riff that wound up being on Skyscraper. I think it was Ice Cream and a Hot Dog and a Shake was the song
Mhm.
from Skyscraper that it wound up eventually becoming. And he was working with Bissonette saying, hey, listen, I want you to work on these breaks, this, that. And Greg Bissonette brought his own snare and he had a sharp and he started charting what Steve wanted on his drum head. And Steve Vai goes, wait, you can write music? He goes, yeah, I can read music too. And that was basically it. He was like, the audition went so well because Greg Bissonette, he played with like all the soft rock guys. Was it Gino Valetti and
Yeah,
the big bands and stuff? So he was like more
that's
of a
right.
jazz player. But the fact that he could do that, but he was such a rock fan, he had all these chops as well. He's like, yeah, we just kept playing and playing. And next thing you know, I got the job because I could also read and write music.
Yeah,
So
he's a
everyone do
very
your homework if
talented.
you're a musician.
Yeah, he's a very talented drummer. And it's
Oh,
funny
uber
because,
talented.
yeah, but as hard as he hits and as hard as he plays and as rocking as this is, you can really hear that he's got a softer, controlled
Oh
side
yeah.
to him,
Yep.
which makes these hot drum tracks really feel controlled and not manic, if that makes sense. You know?
Oh, absolutely.
So
Yep.
yeah.
And I owe
All right.
Greg Bissonette's brother Matt an apology. So yeah, so I was actually going to see my wife's favorite singer, Jack Wagner. And yeah, I know, right? All I need. Uh
Crickets?
yeah. And she's friends with the band, so I was talking to the keyboard player and we were talking about David Lee Roth for some reason in the Skyscraper album, and I was told him I was so upset and pissed off because I wound up getting tickets for that tour, and Billy Sheehan backed out of the tour and left
Oh
the band
no.
at that point. And Matt Bissonette is the one who replaced him. And then I just wound up, for whatever reason, I couldn't make the show. And I told him I was so pissed off that Matt Bissonette took over. And all of a sudden he goes, I'm buddies with Matt Bissonette. He's a fucking awesome dude and a great bass player. And I went, oh, no offense, but
Yeah, yeah, like I wasn't nothing personal.
I'm not
He's like, "Hey,
personal. I was
fuck
just
you."
excited to see Billy and Matt was there. And I was like, just
You're like, "This
disappointment.
guy
Yeah.
sucks,
Yeah.
man. Disappointing
Needless,
me with
needless
this
to say, actually,
half-ass."
I actually did get to see Matt Bissonette play. He was actually I believe he was a band leader for Rick Springfield's band for a long time.
Interesting.
And then he moved
Interesting.
on to Elton John and did the last couple tours with Elton John, including this last one. So, little fact
Yeah,
about
so
Matt
he's just
Bissonette, who's not even on this album. So,
but so it sounds like Matt Bissonette does just fine on bass.
oh yeah, yeah, he's just like his brother, super musical, uber talented, read, write, compose, the whole thing. Yeah.
Right. Cool. Cool. All right. Let's do some opening thoughts on the album. So this album is an album. Obviously, I've heard it, cover to cover, but it's not one I ever really junked out on. Like, like Appetite or, fucking Rat Out of the Cellar. It's one of these bands that I just listen to over and over and over. It's all right, So, Ed, what do you think? What are your opening thoughts?
I think I need to take you in the back room and beat you with the bag of
Ah,
soap.
oh God, we're gonna have problems again.
This album came out and oh man, this is like a desert island album for me. I just
Ugh.
Yep, me
something
too.
about this, and even though it's got all the standard, the Dave covers of like friggin' like Sinatra and them on it,
Yeah.
I just something about the magic of Vi Bissonette and Sheehan, and throw in Dave's lyrics. It's just, I think it's pure gold. Pure
Wow.
gold.
Wow. Good. I'm gonna get my revenge for fucking nothing shocking today. Dave, Dave, give us some thoughts on this.
All right. Yep. I've definitely listened to this. I'm in the same boat, with the Desert Island disc. I bought this on cassette back in the day, wore it out.
Yeah.
I was a David Lee Roth era Van Halen fan already. I saw these crazy videos on MTV's coming out with a solo album. I'm a 12-year-old kid watching and, listening to this guitar madness. And just, I've been listening to this since '86 when it came out.
Okay. All
Yep.
right. Okay. So, yeah. All right. So here's the deal. All right. I get it. I don't hate this album. But there are problems with this album. And one of the biggest problems is Steve Vai. I mean, it just is. He's the wrong
Shut
guy for the
up.
job. Dude, he's the wrong guy for the job. Eddie
Nope.
Van Halen is a shredder, but he shreds with these classic rock and roll fucking licks. This guy is just playing these fucking like over and over, no feel, way too much whammy bar. None of these fucking solos match these songs. It takes away from what this album could have been. And this isn't to
Find
shit
a
on Steve
bridge, guys.
Vai.
Find a bridge
No,
and
okay.
jump off it.
Okay. So let's all right. Well, let's break into
Let's
this
break it
fucking
down.
record then. Yeah. All right. So track 1 on this album is Yankee Rose. Dave, take it away.
All right. This was supposedly recorded as a tribute to the Statue of Liberty. It's got one of the videos off the album, crazy video, live performance. And then we have this Steve Vai talking guitar opening. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Double track guitar throughout the song. I think these are, master musicians, everything in the pocket, great instrumental parts. Dave's in great voice, very strong. Definitely you could tell he's got something to prove here because he's coming out of Van Halen and he really wants to kind of stick it to those guys. And you can hear that.
Yeah. Master musicians, but sometimes I think that David Lee Roth forced Steve Vai to play the way he played on this album. I think he forced him to. I think he said, you have to fucking one up Eddie Van Halen here. And I think Steve Vai, had he been left to his own devices and just been able to play for each track in the style that the track needed, I think that he still would have easily held pace with Eddie Van Halen and the songs would have benefited from him doing what he wanted to do. I don't think this is what he wanted to do. So the tune kicks in right away. The album's super polished, like you said, sounds great. The guitar talk thing, he's taking this to the next level. This is like when Eddie Van Halen's doing the elephant, but Steve Vai is like, I can make my guitar talk. And he did. And it was fucking awesome. And I remember seeing the video when I was a kid and being like, holy shit, it blew me away. Dave is delivering great lyrics, but immediately I noticed he is not using the amount of effect that he used in Van Halen. Van Halen, his vocals are saturated with effect. Here it's a little drier and it's working. It's great. I can hear every word he's saying and it's really great. But when the chorus kicks in, here's where I'm missing Michael Anthony's vocals. I'm like, Michael Anthony was propping up David Lee Roth and Van Halen. Now, David Lee Roth is really good, and he's got a ton of character in his voice, and he delivers these great vocals. But without Michael Anthony, it's not quite as charming. The guitar solo, there wasn't one in this song, which I thought was kind of weird. They give him a little moment to play on the outro, but not having him play a guitar solo in the song was a problem because they did take time to put in 2 breakdowns in this song. I love the first one. I don't love the second one. I think the second one is where they should have come out of the first one where it was teed up, given him his guitar solo, end song. But it's a great song. Ed, what do you think?
So, uh, yeah, this is just it. What an opener for an album. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's just right off the bat. It comes in with that the steady bass and drums, do 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 do, bum 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 bum. You know, and then you got the talk back and forth with the guitar, just so good. What I love about this song and really the whole album, the tone of every instrument, I think, is fantastic. I think they complement each other. As much as I love Billy Sheehan, I hate his tone. I've seen him live so many times, and it's like, let's cut the whole low end and the high end and just have mids. And it bothers me so much. But this album, Billy's tone, Steve's tone, I think they complement each other. I think the guitar is a little tinny, which I like, but it offsets because Steve's bass is actually bassy. And I'm
Mm,
like, okay, this works. And the drums, just the drum sounds are fucking fantastic, I think.
they
Uh,
are.
the lyrics, I think re-listening to this album because I hadn't listened to it in a while, it made me realize for the original songs that they wrote for this, the the brilliance of David Lee Roth's lyrics. I think him and Steven Tyler write some of the most unique innuendos and in observations when it comes to lyric writing.
Mm.
And I want to give him credit for that. But the halftime snippet at the bridge section, and the music breakdown and the outro, I think the chemistry is just glorious. It works for me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree. Uh, yeah. Fucking really great shit.
It's
Uh,
just yeah, the song's just it blew me away when I saw it.
yeah.
Absolutely
No,
blew me away.
yeah, it held up. I mean, when I put it on, I thought it was great. So second track is Shy Boy. Um, Dave, talk about Shy Boy.
All right. This was originally a Talus song, Billy Sheehan's old band, who we
Hmm.
mentioned before was opening for Van Halen back in 1980 or so. This was one of their songs. They're really going for it on this one. Instrumental craziness, guitar and bass playing together, unison fills. The lyrics aren't deep, but they don't need to be. I like the solo on it. I think it's great.
Okay. So I do love Shy Boy. I'm surprised it was another band. It almost sounds like a fucking like one of the older Van Halen songs. I love the chorus. It's so repetitive, but it's one of those ones that's repetitive in a good way. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's
Definitely,
literally just
definitely.
2 words, like Shy Boy, Shy
Yeah,
Boy,
yeah.
Shy Boy, Shy Boy. But I love it. It's fucking great. And as good as Steve Vai is, his playing is not making this song any better, and I'll tell you why. His rhythm playing's fine on this, but it's such a dirty rock and roll song. Like, it's really a dirty rock and roll song, and this is not a dirty rock and roll solo, and it sucks. Fuck, I don't like it. I mean, it's technically phenomenal, but it's not. It doesn't match the song. I want to hear Eddie Van Halen ripping a fucking rock and roll solo through a Marshall head on 10. That's what I want on this song. I don't want this fucking thing that sounds like he plugged into a rack and fucking just squeaked out some slippery, greasy solo that doesn't work. Billy Sheehan is just pounding the fuck out of the bass on this song and the whole album. It's really impressive. Ed, what'd you think of Shy Boy?
All right, so before we get into Shy Boy, I think you're looking at this album all wrong, Des. You're looking at
No
it
way.
as Van Halen Part 2, and it's not. It's a completely, I think Dave wanted to go completely away from it, which is why it's different. Um, and I was reading a Guitar World article from 2016 about the 30th anniversary of the album. And basically, both Sheehan and Vai said when we went in to record, we kept asking, are we overplaying? And basically, Dave said, no, keep going. overplay as much as you want, free reign.
So
So
you
they
just
went,
made my point for me.
okay,
You made my
but
point
yeah,
for me. Steve Vai
yeah,
knew what he knew what he was doing was wrong. He was saying, Dave, this is fucking wrong. It doesn't
no,
work. And Dave's like, you got to be better than Eddie. Keep going.
no. He was saying, this is what we're playing. This is what we want to play. They said literally the creativity, the creative freedom we were given was refreshing. And they
Ugh.
all basically got to do what they wanted to do on these songs. And Dave wanted to show off. Absolutely, there's no doubt about that. I'm not arguing that point. I'm just saying the musicians didn't go in there to show off Eddie Van Halen, Michael Anthony, and Alex. It was just, hey, this is how we play. This is what we're gonna do, and this is it. But back to Shy Boy. Again, it's a Tallis song. It's not a David Lee Roth song. Everything was already written. I've seen Steve Vai and Billy Sheehan play this on the G3 tour and on a couple Vai solo shows. And Billy sings it, and it is awesome to see live because if you listen to the recording, it's the exact same way live. It is fast, a gazillion notes, but you hear every single note. It's not like it's like a heavy hardcore, like Pantera song or like even a Metallica song where you're like, I think these are the notes they're playing. Everything is crystal clear.
Mm.
And I just it blew my mind that people could play that clean that fast.
Oh,
Because
dude, yeah.
it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Um and then when they get to the end of the song and it kind of flattens out, it's almost like they're in a race car and they're hitting a straightaway and they hit the pedal because just Roth yells and it helps the energy so much, and it's just it's like the race car pulling away and you're like, okay, thanks for letting me watch because I'm not catching up. I have zero chance of doing this.
Yeah. Again, like you said, I feel like this album wasn't sure, like it knew what it wanted to be. That was really the problem I had with it because he goes out of his way to write some really interesting songs that we're going to get to that are like really stretching his creativity to places I never thought I would hear David Lee Roth go to. But even on those examples, he's still having Steve Vai play these fucking like
Yep,
retarded guitar solos where it's
which
just
I'm
like,
all for.
oh fuck, okay. Next song.
And I hate shredders. I hate shredders. And I'll explain at the end why I love Steve Vai shredding so much.
Just you all right, okay.
I'll
So
throw you for a loop.
We broke
okay,
him.
okay.
We
So
broke him. Nice, Dave.
track number 3, I'm Easy. Dave, what'd you think of this one?
All right. This is like a lounge band out in space. It makes me, just sort of makes me think of, Steve Vai's breaking out his Berkeley guitar chords, behind the vocal. Solo was great, pretty standard playing here. Except he does this little high note at the end. That's a little Steve Vai thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a cool jazzy 2 minutes. It was good.
Yeah. Yeah, the song's forgettable, but it's fine. I mean, it's a fun little song, nothing special. But I did right, we're gonna get Steve Vai playing some great classic rock and roll riffs here. And it was almost like he was trying to slide it under the radar. Like he was playing, I was like, okay, here we go. This sounds like what Steve Vai should be doing on this record. He's still Steve Vai. He's
Yep.
playing these classic rock riffs, but he's doing it greasy, like only Steve Vai can do it. So I'm like, wow, okay. He's playing like almost like Eddie might, but in a way Eddie never could because he doesn't play the style that Steve plays. And I thought it really worked. So I like that part of this song. Ed?
Yeah, I agree with you, Des. I like the guitar part in this so much. It
So
just
much.
I think it accents the song really well. My
Mhm.
favorite part about this though is when doing some research for this album, Steve Vai composed all the horn sections for this,
So
and
good.
he tells the story of them recording it, and they brought in they reached out to they asked Greg Bissonette because they were in New York where they recorded this at the power station. I think it's in Hell's Kitchen.
Mhm.
Um, and they're like, Greg, you know all these big band guys. Do you know any horn players? He goes, yeah, I got it taken care of. He brings in like 12 of the best horn players in New York,
Awesome.
right? And Steve Vai's like, I'm there in spandex leopard pants. My hair is huge, and I've got a conductor baton. And I go, can you play this a little more staccato? And the story that Steve Vai tells about him conducting the horn part while they were recording this is just, it's great. But yeah, it's a quick 2-minute song, 3-minute song, and it's just a great simple thing. Like it's just a simple blues bass line, do 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 do, and
Right.
everything fits perfectly. I think it's very well done, even though I believe it's a cover.
Mm, really? So that's interesting. There's a lot of covers on this. I still can't believe Shy Boy wasn't written by David Lee Roth because it just sounds like an old David Lee Roth song. Like
Yeah.
that chorus sounds like it came right out of his mind. Um, all right. So Ladies' Night in Buffalo, Dave.
All right. These lyrics are a little weird, but they paint a picture. It's a surprisingly evocative and funky song.
Fuck yeah.
Originally was supposed to have a bunch of guitar tracks. The producer liked the guide track that Steve I just laid down one track for them to go by as they're recording the other stuff. Ted Templeman was just that's it, that's the one, and they really had to convince him to leave it as is and not throw another bunch of stuff on top of it. It was cool panning with the tom tom drums. I like the solo. I think Steve Vai hit that crossroads super high note at the end, the unattainable
Yeah.
that doesn't exist on the fretboard.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah,
It actually does exist on my 1985 BC Rich bitch, uh, which I never take out and play, but I will. I will take it out for that one thing.
fret
Oh
24 and
shit!
a
That
half.
Yeah.
guitar has so many frets on it. It's freaking. It's stupid. um, yeah, it's funny you said that because in my notes on this, all right, so I love this song. I love this song, and there's another one on this album that I love too. I love it because it's different, and I love when an artist pushes their boundaries, and Dave does that on this song. This is a fucking disco song, guys. This song is a fucking disco song that's masked. It's hidden, but you're not hiding it from me. Okay,
Secret
I'm,
disco.
I'm hearing. Yeah, dude, this is like I Was Made for Loving You by Kiss. It's like, dude, this is a disco song, okay? I really liked it. I really liked the rhythm guitars that Steve Vai put out on this. And maybe that's because he was just playing guitar and he didn't have a chance to go back in and ruin it. So it was great rhythm guitar. Um, the guitar solo again, though, it's got so much effect on it, and he's just all over that fucking whammy bar again. It's like, dude, let go of the whammy bar for 2 seconds. It's like in Mother Love Bone last week. It's like, dude, can you just fucking shut the wah pedal off for 2 seconds and play a solo without it? Like, enough is enough. I cannot listen to it anymore. But it's a great song. Um, yeah, I really liked it. It didn't even sound like a David Lee Roth song, and that's why I loved it so much. So, Ed, what'd you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. When I first heard it, I remember going, "Oh, this is really weird, but it's kind of cool. It's got this cool groove to it." And the more I listened to this album, the more this song just grew on me as just a great tune.
Yeah.
I was reading some information on this song, and apparently, when they started writing this song, it was right at the height of like Hell's Kitchen was just a complete disaster, like a shithole. And they
Mhm.
said it really, like, every time they leave the studio, they were like, this is like one of the least safe places on the planet. And they were worried. And I think this, after reading that, the song kind of takes on a different meaning and you can kind of sense the anxiety in it. And
Mm,
I think it made me like it even more. But yeah, it's just a cool song overall. I agree with both what you both said. It's just, the
yeah.
music is just really great. It flows. It's completely different than what anyone expected
So
on this.
different.
But also, I
And
mean, the whole album's like that.
Yeah, and in 1986, he could have very easily delivered us a album that the whole thing just sounded like Yankee Rose. And I'm so
Yep.
glad he didn't because
Right.
these fucking deep cuts are really good. So track 5, Going Crazy. I've got some hot takes on this. Dave, go.
All right. Well, this is poppy. A lot of keyboards, finger picked guitar part. Each verse tells you a little mini story, which I thought was cool. I really like the solo. I was always impressed by that run he does at the end. The fast thing. Um,
Yeah,
I still can't do that. I feel like the keyboards could have come down in the mix a little bit. They were really hot in this song,
they were. They were.
and I think this was a
Yeah,
different guy. I think they actually had like a couple different keyboard players come in. There was one guy on
yeah.
one song and a different guy on another song. I forget his name though.
That I think that lick is the intimidating. I can't remember what it's called. It's from the movie Crossroads, though. I think it's called the intimidation lick or something, and you can learn it on YouTube. It's a great lick. It's a great lick, and it's all Steve Vai. It's fucking so hot. Is that what you got on Going Crazy?
Yep.
Okay. So this song is lifted right off 5150, okay? It just is. This is a Van Halen song. That opening rhythm guitar lick, like, did they have Eddie Van Halen come in and play it? Because it is Eddie Van Halen off 5150. Uh, Usually I'm always in the David Lee Roth camp. I'm like, David Lee Roth kills Sammy Hagar. I hate Van Hagar compared to Van Halen. Uh, Make them two separate bands. I love them both. But if you're going to make me choose Van Halen, it's always going to be with David Lee Roth. But this song would have been a million times better with Sammy Hagar singing it. A million times better. And then if you put Michael Anthony behind Sammy Hagar, this is a hit on 5150. But that's not what we got here. We got David Lee Roth giving me what I feel like is a very lazy performance on this. It's not sang great. For as great as this song could have been, and for being a hit, which is surprising to me, going back and listening to it because the vocals are off that much. He's lazy. You're missing Michael Anthony's vocals like bigger than any time on this album. The chorus, it just doesn't hit without those background vocals and the way Dave is singing it. It's not working. Specifically on when they return on the word crazy, where he goes going crazy, and then the return crazy. That's David Lee Roth again. What a mistake! It's like you didn't sing it good on the lead track. Now you're going to give us the hook. You're going to return to the hook with your shitty vocal again. It should have been a gang vocal there
Yeah.
with people that are better even than the people that were doing the backing on the album. It should have been some women singer in there, and it should have been. It just could have been a better song. Ed, what do you got?
I agree with you on the vocals. However, Michael Anthony, I think, is more Van Halen than David Lee Roth when it comes to
Yeah,
vocals,
definitely.
because it's hit the way he sings harmony and that falsetto of his is just that's the definition of Van Halen to me. Doesn't matter whether it's Hagar or Roth. Michael Anthony is what made that. So I was glad they didn't do the similar type of harmonies on this, and there's very little harmonies. Um, that are noticeable. They're not up front and in your face. However, the music in this song, I just love. I love
Me
everything
too.
about the music in this song. It is a great groove. It's got a flow. It's not too busy until it is, and then
Yep.
you're just like, "Whoa, wait." That sounded so fun. Like I can count how many times I started trying to do with the bass at the end. I'm like, oh, shut up. You
So
know,
good.
I'm
So
like,
good.
the song made you no matter how knew you were in an instrument. I feel like this song made you think that you could play it and you could reach that level.
You can't though.
No,
No.
absolutely not. No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Oh shit. Can you reimagine it? But could you reimagine it with Sammy Hagar and Michael
Oh,
Anthony
I
singing it?
totally agree with this. Would work on 5150. Absolutely.
Yeah,
But
it really would.
did 5150 come out before this? I can't remember.
I'm not sure.
I'm
Honestly, I'd
not
be
sure
lying
either.
if I said I knew.
And weirdly, I think it was also that guitar riff, the ba 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 da ba da.
Yeah,
It's kind of that time period too. I mean, you
it's
had Rack
basically
doing
the
that a
riff.
lot. You have George Lynch living off it. I mean, he made a living off riffs like that.
But this opening riff is basically, "Come on, baby, give me what you
Yeah,
started."
yeah.
It's the same song. I mean, it's
Yeah,
very
but that
similar.
was like what, 8 years later, that song?
Right, right. So,
So
hey,
basically Van Halen took it from David Lee Roth and Steve Vai.
fucking thieves.
But
Okay,
it is,
so track
it's yeah.
yeah, it is. So track 6, Tobacco Road. Dave, go ahead.
All right, so this song became a hit for the Nashville Teens in 1964. Of course, I had never heard the old one until later, and it sounds like ass compared to the David Lee Roth version.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Um, it's got the just the gigolo kind of lounge act feel a little bit, and I enjoyed the crazy guitar on there. 2 minutes and
Yeah.
19 seconds. You get the little whammy bar. Pig
Oh,
snort, and come on, that's awesome.
not that.
Whammy bar sound effects.
Yeah.
No, no.
I vote yes on this one.
I vote no. Keep going.
That's
Okay.
that's it for me.
Okay. Tobacco Road. This is a great rock and roll song. Fucking the name, Tobacco Road. Rock and roll. I love the words. I love David's vocals on this. Um, and again, as good as he's playing, Steve Vai is just off the mark. This is not a Nashville solo. This is not a Tobacco Road solo. This is not a rock and roll solo. This is the Intimidator riff from fucking Crossroads shoehorned into a rock and roll song, and it's trash. It's fucking trash. It doesn't work here. I mean, it's technically amazing. It's beautiful, but it doesn't work in this song. All right. Um, yeah, this is one of my favorite performances from Dave on the album. It's a great vocal. I'm not going to keep harping on Steve Vai's playing. Ed, go ahead.
Uh, I think the guitar solo is great. I'm with Dave.
You would.
It's just,
Yeah.
it's fantastic. It fits a song great.
Oh,
It's, I do. I think it is well, for what they were trying to do. I mean, you got to remember, it's a blues song that they turned into a rock song. It's got
right.
a ZZ Top vibe, but not as bluesy as ZZ Top. It's more
Right.
hair metal ZZ Top.
Hmm.
Take away the beards, give them big, huge cans of hairspray, and that's what ZZ Top would put out. Uh,
Whammy bars and
yeah,
shredder riffs. And we go, okay.
exactly, exactly.
Sure.
Perfect. Okay.
Um, yeah, but this was the song that sealed the deal for me on this album. It really, and the reason being is I learned it, and I was like, okay, at least I can play
Ah,
one song on the album.
nice. Nice. I love it.
Yeah, I
Oh,
wanted to do
shit.
it with the band that I was in back in the day, and yeah, we never want to play it, but oh my god, it's such a fun song. The lyrics are fun. I mean, I know they didn't write it, but it's just I think it is an exciting, great cover of this song.
So was this the same band that wouldn't play Hoobastank?
No.
Okay. Different band. Okay. So track 7, Elephant Gun. Dave, what do you think of this song?
All right. We got some shots fired here. Sounds like the boogie beat that Van Halen is famous for. Does
Hmm.
David Lee Roth do it
Yeah.
better? In 1986, yes, he does. There's a bass solo, there's a guitar solo, there's a dual bass and guitar solo.
Fuck yeah.
Uh, Great lyrics. I don't know what they mean, but they're cool.
Yeah. Um, so I'm a sucker for some tight double kick, and we're gonna get it here, big time. Billy Sheehan just bringing fire on this. You don't hear bass like this ever. Like
No.
this is the
Holy
top of
shit.
the mountain, okay? And finally, Steve Vai plays a solo that fits the song, and it is fucking scorching. Like, be careful if you're listening to this with headphones on, because you will burn your ears, okay? This shit is fucking like Steve Vai magic, all right?
So good.
Um, yeah, and at this point on the album, Dave's vocals are starting to feel a little underwhelming. And I think maybe it's just because he's showing off his band here. And these guys are all the best at what they do. And
Yes.
David is not the best at what he does. He has a ton of character, but he is not fucking a virtuoso singer. And he is not keeping up with the band here, unfortunately. Ed, what did you think?
Yeah, no, I agree a lot with you, Des, on this. Dave recording for Dave is not his sweet spot. Dave is by far the best frontman ever. I would put him
Yeah,
in the top 2, maybe 3 frontmen to ever be on stage, to just work a crowd and put on a show that you're just gonna be blown away at. However, his
100% agreed.
vocals are terrible.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
but this song, my god, the whole it's like 30-second beats that friggin' Billy's playing in the opening, it's like,
So
what
good.
the hell? But Dave, you nailed it. It is there. Okay, here's our Van Halen lick just to get this out of the way. And yeah, it's got the total.
Yep.
Oh my god, but it's. I agree with Dave. It's better.
Yeah, they didn't do that on the 5150 album.
No, no,
No,
and like the
no.
energy on it is just. I think the energy in all these songs. It was like it's almost like it was the perfect moment with the perfect musicians where they were all excited to finally get to play with each other. Like they've all
Yeah,
known about each other, and then they were like, "Oh, let's see what we can do," and they all challenged each other, and then you get this, and it's like, wow.
yeah. It's
But yeah,
a
who would have
show off
thought?
moment.
Oh yeah, yeah, and who would have thought a song named Elephant Gun would have been as good as it is? I mean, Jesus.
But I love it. I mean, I feel the innuendo there is
Oh
like
yeah,
this is as big
obviously,
as you
yes,
can shoot. You know, this
yes,
is it.
yeah,
We're giving you the both barrels. You
yes.
know. So track 8 is Big Trouble. Dave, what do you think?
All right, this is funky, more great evocative song lyrics. Solo sections, pure Steve Vai. Nobody really talks about this song so much, but it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So this song, I mean, if you guys didn't hear it, the verse is fucking Rapture by Blondie. I mean, it just
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
The
oh
man, the
yeah,
bars,
yeah,
plus the
yeah.
bars. I mean, but this, I'm going to tip my hat and give away the end of the show. This is my favorite song on the record. I love this song. It's fucking amazing. Uh, the only thing that ruined it for me was that Steve Vai played a million notes and grabbed the whammy bar 2 million times. And I'm over it by this time. Like I'm literally with Seamus jerking the steering wheel into a telephone pole. Please don't ruin this amazing 70s sounding uh, fucking song that we're so lucky to have gotten from David Lee Roth because in a million lifetimes, he'll only write this song once. And this is what you're going to play over it. And fuck if I didn't hate it. I love David Lee Roth's vocals in the verses. Oh, it's so
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
I
definitely.
fucking love this song. Ed, what'd you think?
Uh, first off, I hate you because now I can't unhear Rapture from Blondie on this.
It is.
How however, I think musically, I think this sounds like a song that Steve Vai brought from, like, a leftover from Flexible, that album Flexible he
Mm.
did. I think it's got a little bit of a flow like some of the tunes off that, if I'm remembering Flexible. I mean, I did do a lot of drugs back in the day, and especially when I listened to Flexible, because that was a trippy album. But yeah, for some reason I get a Flexible vibe, Steve Vai Flexible album. But yeah, it's oh god, you're killing me with that Rapture. That's all I got in my head now.
Dude,
But
as soon
I
as I
love
put
the
it on, I'm
song.
like, holy shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've always loved the song, and I think this whole chunk of the album where I'm like, okay, this is I'm assuming it's very Dave like because it's the farthest thing from Van Halen that he could get with this. You
So
know,
far.
it's this just cool groove. The sounds are a little different than the rest of the album, and I just totally dug it.
Yeah. Yeah. This was the second one that was like this that I just really dug those two tracks. Track number 9, Bump and Grind. Uh, Dave, go ahead with this one.
All right, yeah, this is classic DLR sleaze. Also is on my nudie bar playlist. I'm opening it in 2027
Nice.
in
Nice.
Walla Walla,
Love
Washington.
it.
um, cool lyrics, great guitar and bass and drums. Just a cool song. It's all good.
That's awesome. So, Dave, how was your show? You played Saturday night, correct?
Friday night,
Friday night.
yeah, with
Yeah,
the
good
cover
show.
band. Yeah, it was
Nice.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually the smoke machine set off the fire alarms.
Awesome.
And so
Awesome.
Gotta love when that happens.
we got to meet the Oxford, Massachusetts Fire Department, but they were very cool.
Perfect.
And
Perfect.
we
And
said
that was with the Sunset Strippers, right?
correct. Yeah,
Okay.
we said sorry so many times. We got the room aired out and went back in and kept on rocking.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, I'm helping a friend of our one of our mutual friends produce his record that's coming up. I'm helping him arrange the songs and just get some melodies, and I'm demoing up some of his music for him in my studio. And he spent the day over here, and we demoed up one of his songs that came out really, really good, especially just for a demo that he's going to be giving to his drummer. And he mentioned that he was going to see you play later that evening. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So shout out to that Pink, good guy.
What's up?
Um, yeah, what's up? All right. So on Bump and Grind, you just did Bump and Grind, yes.
Yes.
While I was listening to this, I listened to it on Pandora, and I don't pay for Pandora. So sometimes halfway through the album, it'll just kind of shut off and then go on to the last thing I was listening to. And I have to listen to a commercial again to put the album back on. So it just so happened I'm listening to this song, it shuts off, and what comes on? Panama. And I'm like, what the fuck? So at that moment, I am forced to A and B Panama with Bump and Grind. And I go, God, this song sucks. Fucking, and I don't know, it's just because it got fucking lambasted by fucking Panama in the heartbeat, but it was murdered by Panama. Um, this song, this album is starting to grind on me by now. And Steve Vai plays the Intimidator riff for the 112th time on this album. And Dave is doing his best Van Halen impression here. I don't know, man. It was making me feel a little nostalgic for Van Halen, specifically after hearing Panama. So, yeah, I don't know. Kind of starting to tap on this song. Ed, what'd you think of Bump and Grind?
This is my least favorite song on the album.
Yeah, close.
Not to blow up the later in the show, but yeah, I felt very underwhelmed by the song. It was like, okay, let's put something in quick. We need something else, and it was boring. You
Yeah,
know, it just seemed lazily put together.
yeah. So track 10, the final track on the album, That's Life. And Dave, what did you think of this cover?
All right. Well, the most famous version of this, obviously, is by Frank Sinatra. Came
Mhm.
out in 1966. But Dave's version was sort of my gateway drug to actually enjoying and appreciating, the old time crooners. Yeah. This was my uncle Teddy had a bar back in New Jersey, and my dad, would hang out there and help him out sometimes. My sister worked there. He
Cool.
didn't have David Lee Roth on the jukebox there, but he did have the Sinatra version. And I'd go there and hang out, and that was almost good enough. So that would be my song. I'd play that, and I'd play like a couple of the other tunes that I liked. But yeah.
That's awesome. So I will never pick a cover song on an album to be my favorite song on the album, but had David Lee Roth written this song, this probably would have been my favorite song. The track is fucking greasy good. I mean, I love the vocals. His vocals are so fucking good on this. He was born to sing this song, right?
Yes.
Um, I love the
Yep.
background vocals. The background vocals are fucking amazing. The drums are amazing. The bass is amazing. Like you guys alluded to earlier, this horn section is fucking, it's over the top. And then you get the big end. And it's such a great ending for this record. This is how you fucking cap off a record. I really, really like this rendition of That's Life. Ed, what did you think?
Yeah, I agree. It's a great version of the song. I thought it was a great way to close the album. Um, I liked it because he didn't change it too much. I mean, it's obviously not the swing album song it is, but they didn't like put chunky guitar or anything. They kept it
Yeah.
with the same overall vibe.
They didn't rock it up.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I appreciated that. But yeah, this is like we also have to remember at this time, uh, you know, Dave was so wanting to do covers. He had the Crazy from the Heat EP that he put out or whatever it was, where he did California Girls and stuff like that. And he just, even with the Van Halen albums, what was it, Diver Down? It's like mostly covers. It's like,
Yeah,
okay, Dave,
yeah,
what's up with the covers? If you want to be a Vegas act, then why are you doing, Van Halen and then, all these rock tunes? Um,
yeah,
However, this is what you hear this and you're like, oh no, you should be a Vegas act because
yeah.
it's such a
Oh,
great version of it. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, it really, hearing it, I just remember when I first heard it and said, oh, the album's over. This is a great closer.
yeah. I think it
And
was the
it's
first song that fucking Steve Vai didn't grab the whammy bar on. But I'll bet if I go back and listen, I'll bet somewhere buried on this song there is a whammy dive.
Bow.
Oh,
probably.
okay. Okay. All right. Let's go on to the favorite tracks. My favorite track, as I alluded to, was Big Trouble. I loved it. I thought it was really, really good. I mean, obviously I could say Yankee Rose, whatever. It's obviously a superior song, but I just really loved that I've never heard anything like Big Trouble from David Lee Roth, and it resonated with me for that reason. And I would cut I'm Easy. I didn't like the song at all. Dave, favorite song you'd cut?
All right, it's so tough for me to pick just one, but I guess for favorite, maybe Ladies' Night in Buffalo, just because the whole different thing and
Yep.
crazy guitar and all that. I would cut. I don't dislike it, but maybe That's Life. Just to get one more rocker on the album.
Yeah.
They did do a song called "Kids in Action" by Kim Mitchell.
Hmm.
That was edged off the album by Tobacco Road. That's never come out. I'd love to hear that. I went and looked up the original, and it seems like they might be able to do something kind of cool with it. Um, but yeah, one more rocker wouldn't be distasteful for me.
I'm with you. Ladies' Night in Buffalo was it was a flip of a coin for me
Yeah.
between Big Trouble and Ladies' Night in Buffalo. Either one could have been my favorite song. Ed, what do you think?
My favorite song's Elephant Gun. I just love that song. I think
Really?
it's just, yeah, I think it rips. I
Interesting.
just love it. I think it's
Interesting.
fun. It's just, I think it's the most fun song on it. Obviously, Yankee Rose, Going Crazy. Those I took those out of the mix because I wanted something that was more Crazy Dave.
Yeah.
And I think that that's kind of a great Crazy Dave song where the band just really just was like, all right, let it go, So I really
Right.
enjoyed it.
Yeah. I
But the
think
song I
we
would come,
also have to just. Oh,
yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
the song I would cut, well, I obviously said already, Bump and Grind. So
Yeah. I was just gonna say, I think that we all have to remember too, like these videos of Dave in the drugstore and stuff, and just like
yeah,
because you just spurred my memory of Crazy Dave. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
yeah,
instantly
no,
I was like, "Fuck, you're right." I'm like Crazy Dave,
yeah,
fucking, So yeah,
yeah.
really
Give me
great
a
stuff.
bottle of anything and and was it a jelly
Yeah,
donut to go?
and a jelly donut to go.
Hey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so good. All right, so if we had to replace one member and replace him, who would be fired and who would get the gig? And I think I've got a very good one here. Someone that I believe could shred appropriately and give Eddie Van Halen a run for his money in the day, but also play those rock and roll riffs that I was longing for. So I would cut Steve Vai and I would replace him with one Warren DeMartini, one young gunslinger from the day. That's my choice. Ed, what do you got?
Yeah, that's not a bad take. Unfortunately, I think this band is probably the perfect mix of musicians.
Hmm.
Uh, so I would actually cut Dave.
You can't. No, that's against the rules. You can't cut Dave on
His
this.
name's on the record.
I would cut Dave. The problem is I couldn't think of who I would put in to replace him
Sammy
because
Hagar.
no, because I think obviously Dave is he's definitely the weakest link. But if I had to cut someone, uh, God.
Stevie Wonder, I
Stevie
dare
Wonder.
you.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't think of anyone because I just love these three musicians together. I think they're so
Uh,
perfect. But if I had to cut someone, I would probably cut Greg Bissonette, just because there were so many great drummers back then. Maybe replace him with um, shit. You know what? I would have loved to see what Matt Sorum would do on this, only because of that story that Greg Bissonette told.
Interesting. You know, it's funny. I was going to replace Bissonette with Tommy Lee because they're both great double bass players, and I
Yep.
think Tommy could have done it. But when I listened to That's Life, it made me say, man, this guy Bissonette was just the right guy for the job
Oh,
because he
wasn't
was
he?
so
Right.
Oh yeah.
well-rounded. He was able to play that like a fucking guy from back then. It was like he
Yes.
could have gone on and done the original. So
Yes.
that's why I didn't. Dave, what do you got?
All right, it's a tough one. I suppose replacing the keyboard player would be kind of a cop out.
Yes, it would.
Yes.
All
Don't do
right.
it.
All right. So we'll take out Greg Bissonette. You know, he's a great drummer, very precise,
Yeah.
jazz background. You know, everything we talked about. Uh, but I'd be curious of what it would sound like, personal and professional issues aside,
Mhm.
with Alex Van Halen bashing the drums like an animal.
Wow.
Okay, okay, I can see that, and you know
Come
what?
on,
Then
he
why don't
had
we
the
put Eddie
jazz
on the
background.
keys?
Sure.
Yeah, yeah, no, he did, and we could put Eddie Van Halen on the keyboards, and then we're there. I think
No
we're
drama
there.
in the studio at all.
No,
No, no.
none. That would be perfect. All right, I think we did it, man. So let's do some final thoughts
Woo.
and a Watts score. I will keep my final thoughts very brief today, since I, like always, was very long-winded. Uh, so I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. Obviously, I didn't think Steve I worked for this album. It's at least the way he was used. And it needed better background vocals to prop up Dave's vocals. My Watts score for this album, there's no chance I'm going to get this under
No,
nothing shocking. Right? Okay, okay. Even if I said 0, it still wouldn't do it. Okay.
probably.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm going to give this a 63.2 watt score. It's fine. It's above average. Yeah. So, Dave, what do you got?
All right. Well, you know, Dave's had some hits and misses in his career. When he's paired with the right people, I think magic can happen. You know, when he's got Eddie Van Halen's guitar next to him, when he's got, you know, these guys backing him up, it's excellent. I'm a fan of Steve Vai, but I think this is his best work. You know, his
No.
solo stuff is a little too out there and jazz fusion from my taste. But you know, mix in this top fuel rock and roll power of David Lee Roth, you know, with Steve Vai's guitar, just brings it into the right orbit, you know, to be stellar. As old as this album is, I still can't figure out some of the stuff he's doing on guitar. It's insane. Um, Also, one more thing, this record is fun. You know, evidence much of the fun in Van Halen was David Lee Roth. You know, over
Yes.
the top musicianship and
Agreed.
great songs, must listen for guitar freaks and 80s glam fans alike. And your mom will love the Frank Sinatra cover song. Come on. I give it 98.
Oh, dude,
Wow.
stop. Stop with that 98. Stop with that 98. Holy shit. Are you fucking kidding me? Okay, Ed, go. Dude, I just had a fight with Delin on the movie one because I gave Daddy's Home a 5 and she gave it a 4 something. And we literally were screaming at each other. Fuck you, bitch. Fuck you. I won't do this podcast anymore. She's screaming. This is why I don't want
Ah.
to do a podcast with you. Yeah, so I'm not going to
Oh,
go there, but wow, I disagree with that score. Ed, go ahead. What's your
wow.
thoughts and
All
score
right.
on this?
So, Dave, I agree
98.
with a lot of you, especially about that, your opinion, especially about the fun. I think this is just a super fun album. I think Dave brings tons of fun to it. Desi, I think you're out of your mind about Steve Vai. So, I've seen Steve Vai in so many different scenarios, and I'm not even a huge fan. Just by sheer coincidence, I've been offered tickets. I've seen him with G3. I've seen him. Went to his birthday show in New York once, and then I saw him on Generation X. And the Generation X show was when I finally realized and understood Steve Vai's ability. Now you have on that tour Tosin Abasi opened, and I apologize if I screwed up his name. Um, he's a brilliant guitar player, but he's like all these crazy time signatures that I was just like, whoa. And then you have like Ingve, and Ingve just starts shredding, and I hate Ingve shredding because it's just noise. You can't understand what he's doing. It's like, great, you can play fast, but let me feel you.
Agreed.
Okay. Then it was Zach Wild, who just brings a great attitude to playing. He's definitely more of an in the box player, but I like his playing a lot. Um, and then it was Nuno Betancourt. And then all of a sudden you see the difference between Nuno and Zach was like, whoa. And you could see Nuno just took it to the next level.
Yeah.
And it's not a matter of speed, it's a matter of just presence and feel. And I was like, wow, that was unbelievable. Then Steve Vai came out, and I didn't think he was going to be that much better than Nuno. But it was watching him play on that tour, it was like he was the guitar. And I get it. He's very noise and different things he can do with the guitar as much as all these notes he can play. But it was realizing and seeing how he was just one with the guitar, just blew me away. Now, don't get me wrong. I've also saw him on G3. He was having technical issues. I watched him hold his guitar up vertically, drop it on the ground, and yell at the guitar tech into the mic. Where I said, "Wow, what a douche move." However, I also met Steve on the Generation X tour, and he was a super nice guy. Super nice guy. Um, so I was so happy with this band to see him and Billy and Greg and what they put together and how they put it together. And I think you got the best out of each of them on this album to complement the insanity of Dave at that time. I mean, Dave TV on MTV, I can't count how many times I watched that show.
So much.
And I think the little bit of Dave's insecurity being over the top because Van Halen, that's a huge thing to do, leaving Van Halen. So this album is just perfect for me. However, I did not give it what Dave gave it.
God.
My watch score on this is 89.75
Wow. It's still
because
bloated. Okay.
no, because this is totally, I would probably, if I had to bracket all the songs that I like, I mean, all the albums, it doesn't matter what mood I'm in, this album will always work.
Wow. Okay. This album sucks. So listen, I want to backload this by saying, Steve Vai is fucking amazing. This is
Right.
not me ragging on Steve Vai. He's fucking
No.
amazing. Just didn't work for me on this album, specifically the way he was used. I would also like to talk about what you said with Nuno Betancourt. Nuno Betancourt is the greatest shredder guitar player of all
Yes.
times, and I'll tell
Oh,
you
yeah.
why. Because his lick selection is so tasty. He knows when to rip, he knows when to shred, and he knows when to play fucking rock and roll. And he knows how to get the sounds you need for the songs. And I'm going to change my pick from Warren DeMartini to one fucking Nuno
Nuno-
Betancourt for this album. Fuck yeah.
There you go.
Wow.
You're
Fuck
welcome.
yeah.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So Ed, will you calculate those bloated scores with my correct score and tell us how many watts this album is pushing?
So the two sane people versus one
There's no
insane
sane
person.
people. There's no sane people on this podcast.
So our scores average out to a total watt score of 83.65, which I think
Okay.
nails this album.
Oh fuck. And Dave, where does that score put Eat 'em and Smile on the Breaking Vinyl charts?
All right, that puts it in at number 4, just under Mother Love Bone's Apple and above Junkyard's self-titled album.
Holy shit, Junkyard stomps a mud hole in this album's ass every
No
day of the
way.
week.
Nope.
Oh, you're out of your
Come
mind.
on.
Sorry, Pat.
Okay. Okay. And you know what? Upon reflection, I think that I had that Junkyard score right because I listened to the album again. There's not a skip on it. Not one. Not one. So when it lacks in technical playing, it makes up for in fucking listenability. Okay. I'm sure everybody's sick of hearing me talk about Junkyard. You can find this podcast anywhere you find podcasts. So I'm not going to bore you. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It's all there. Just go look for it. Please leave us a 5-star review. If you're listening to this on Apple, it makes such a fucking difference. So please leave the 5-star review. It takes 2 seconds. We don't charge you for the podcast. We could be putting like a stupid Manscaped commercial in this now, and we don't. Okay, because you don't want to hear it. So just leave the fucking review. All right. Next week we will be back, and my pick is, and this. Oh man, I'm so excited to listen to this one.
Oh, I can't
Rat.
wait to tear it down.
Rat out of the cellar?
Oh no,
Rat out of
sorry.
the cellar? Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna be with you on this one.
Yeah, I haven't listened to the whole album in a while, but this is one that I used to like wear out tapes when I was young.
Yeah.
It might be 100 watts. I mean,
No.
it's going to be damn close. I mean, every song is a fucking home run on this.
No.
No, yeah, it won't be. It won't be 100. I was trying to tease it a little bit. It won't be 100, but it's
I'm
going to
gonna
be
knock
damn
you
good.
right off that high horse.
Okay. So Ed, last week we did do a pre-score on Appetite for Destruction. I gave it 100. Dave gave it 100. Delin gave it 100. Do you think that Appetite for Destruction could be our first perfect album?
If
reviewed,
it's possible. Yeah. I don't know if I'd
so
give it 100, but I'd have to listen to the whole thing again. It's definitely very close. Because those songs are all. It changed everything. That album.
In truth be told, I'm trying to decide if it's going to be you or Delin because that album is getting 100. So I was fishing for your score. I'm joking. All right, great. So Dave, you won't be with us next week, correct?
Correct.
Do you have a number in your mind that you might have given Rat Out of the Cellar just for fun?
Let's see. I don't even know if I've heard the whole album all the way through. But I like Rat a lot. Let me pull it up here real quick in my tunes machine here.
Actually,
Dave, this is an album, Dave, that I would have thought you would have been very familiar with.
Let me give a shout out real quick because our buddy Seamus reached out to me.
Hey,
no, stop it!
He did.
I've been waiting for this.
He recommended a King's X album, and I replied that I'm a huge King's X fan, so we started to celebrate each other's love of King X. So
awesome! And did
King's
he
X
have
is
any
just great? No negatives.
No.
He just recommended, hey, you guys should do a King's X album because he was mentioning how much I talk about vocal harmonies and how much I like them. And I said, that's exactly why I like King's X, man. They are like Beatles for harmonies.
And I don't know if I've ever even listened to one King X song. Can you give me one song I might have heard?
Lost in Germany.
Doesn't ring a bell. Can you give me 2 notes?
Oh, actually, actually, there was Black Flag.
I don't know. I don't think
I
know this.
Black flag on my morning. There's a black flag on my day. There's a black. That was on MTV for a while.
You know what? We'll do one for Seamus. We're gonna do. One of these.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. Dave, so did you look at that album?
So yeah, I'm not sure if I've actually heard Out of the Cellar all the way through, but like I said, I like Rat. I'd probably give it at least a 75 or so.
Okay, cool. All right, guys. So that's it. We did do Daddy's Home with Mark Wahlberg on Hey, Did You Ever See That Movie last week? So if you want to hear the breakdown of that, hear me and Delin literally get angry and scream at each other. It's a lot of fun. And that's it. So until next time, take those records out of the sleeve and let the music breathe. See you later.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.
All right, guys, just hold off a second until it says everybody has done their thing. I thought that was a good show. A lot of fun.
Yeah. You're still recording? It says you're still recording.
Oh, yeah, hang on. Stop. Oh,
Uh-oh.
stop. Okay, there we go. We're good.